Hi, I'm Christy. I want to talk to you today about a school issue, and that is getting an IEP, or an individualized education plan. Developing an IEP is one of those things that can be very intimidating for parents. There's not a lot of information handed out typically, and it's just a very overwhelming process. So I'm hoping today to give you an overview of the process, and in the next few videos we'll go through more details on each of the areas. One of the things that people don't necessarily realize is that there are a couple different ways that you can receive services or accommodations or modifications in school. A 504 plan I've heard referred to as an IEP Lite, meaning that it's typically less involved than an IEP. A 504 is for accommodations that you need to remain in a mainstream classroom. So you stay in a regular classroom, you just have extra accommodations or modifications. It refers to Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. And it's designed to give students the same opportunities and to kind of level the playing field for all students. An IEP, on the other hand, is an individualized education plan. I've also seen it referred to as an individualized education program, and I think that just kind of depends on which area of the country and what your district chooses to use. There are significant differences from state to state and from district to district on how these are implemented. So if I give you specifics on what works in my district and in my area, it may be different for you. But basically, an IEP is developed by a team of people. The parents are included. It includes special education teachers, therapists, a general education teacher, a representative from the district, and others that any of those team members think might be beneficial. Included in the actual IEP document are a whole bunch of different things. They'll start the process by going through and doing tests and evaluations and giving you a written report of that. And then they use that to determine what services and accommodations and modifications are needed. So the services that will be received, the time that each one will take, usually out of a week or out of a month, will be included in. And that would include any therapies. It could be physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, those kinds of things could all be included in. Any accommodations or modifications that are needed. Any supplemental services, and how they would apply in a general education setting as well as in a special education setting would be detailed out there. They'll have benchmarks and goals for this student. Something that's a little bit different with an IEP is that it does have effective dates, and they're good for a year. So they have to be renewed before they expire each year. And then you'll have other things that could be included, like extended school year or summer school services, if you have transportation. Any of those kinds of things are very specifically detailed out. These can be longer documents. My son's is typically 15, 20, maybe even pushing 25 pages at its longest. I'm sure that there are some that are much longer than that. But over the next few videos, I'll go over more details about how to do this, and more specifics for each of those. One thing to note is that for an IEP, there does have to be there's a certain list of diagnoses or labels that have to be used to qualify for one. And one of the things that I found personally is that labels and diagnoses don't bother me because they don't change who my son is. He is who he is. But what the label does is that lets him check a box off so that yes, he does meet qualifications for this service or for that service or for whatever they're looking for. So I don't worry about what they want to label him as. And so that's my personal take on it. I do have a blog post on resources for IEPs and 504s. You can find that at www.havenofhopeforme.com. And I hope that as we go through this and as you go through the process, you can find and agree with me that life is good and there is never a dull moment.